Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at Etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 two-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Volkswagen Taos. So this bike rack is probably going to be the best of the best bike racks here at Etrailer in my personal opinion. You check off all those boxes. You have that great weight capacity, you have the ability to add on a ramp, you have included locks, things like that. So we'll talk about those specs and those features, but we're going to focus on our vehicle here today. That way you can see what is the best fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your Volkswagen Taos. So first feature we'll take a look at is the tilt-away feature. We have a lever here. You're going to want to pull that lever and then just let this drop down to a tilt. We have like a slow glide down, which is very helpful when you max this out at 60 pounds per bike, because then the bikes aren't going towards you very quickly. Okay, you'll tilt your bike rack away if you want to access your hatch. You can see here how we have clearance between our door, our pedals, and our handlebars, giving us plenty of space to reach in there and maybe grab our waters, our helmets, or our bags. And once we've gotten them, you just close that door and then you lift up on the rack and then it snaps into place and you're ready to hit the road again. So that's going to be very helpful for if you want to grab something real quick and you don't want to have to take all of your bikes off to do so. Now, the way our bike is mounted to this rack is we have 2 touch points. And before we go too deep into that, notice how nice this looks on our vehicle, especially with the color of our bike. You have different color options for the Kuat NV. You can get this in gunmetal gray, which is what I have here, and matches the color of our vehicle, but also metallic black or even matte black if you get the base version. Continuing on though, our bike is held up by a front wheel mount, and this helps secure that front wheel. Then in the back, we have our rear wheel strap. So to take off the bike, you start at the strap, you press that lever, lift up on the strap, you just fold it over to the side so you don't have to get that caught up in your spokes. Then you go over here to the front. That front wheel mount makes it super easy to mount your bikes. Also helpful when you have those carbon fiber frame or step-through bikes or those women's bikes and children's bikes. You just press this button, lift this up, push that out, and just like that, you can grab your bike and go on a ride. So I'm gonna go and leave the bike over here to the side so that we can take a closer look at the bike rack itself. One thing to take a look at is gonna be our rear strap. Notice how this moves back and forth for your different wheelbases, with a maximum wheelbase going to be of 50 inches. This pops right in there and secures that rear wheel. At the end of the rack, you also have this really cool lock, and each of your trays are going to have that lock just to help secure your bikes while you're on the road. In the front, we have our front wheel cradle with the different grooves. So whether you have your thin road bike tires or even your fat tires of up to 5 inches, this can carry that. You have your front wheel hook. I talked about how I like that for different types of bikes. This secures that front wheel of the bike and then it folds down to be nice and neat. Okay, this does have a 60-pound weight capacity and the ability to add on to up to 4 bikes. But in its own configuration right now, let's take some measurements to see how much length does this add to the back of our vehicle. So measuring from the bumper right there to the end of the trail dock repair stand, that sits at 29.5 inches. So pretty good in terms of not taking up too much space, but still a measurement to remember when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a really tight spot. Another measurement we'll take a look at is going to be ground clearance. So that's going to be measured from the end of the rack to the ground, 17.25 inches. Compare that measurement to our actual shank though, and that's only 8 inches of clearance, which isn't that much. If you have accessories on the back of your Taos, you're gonna have to be mindful and hope or try to get the ones that have a shank rise like this. That way, when you go up those steep inclines, like those driveways and hills where your front goes up and your back goes down, you'll be less likely for your bikes to hit the ground. So this is a really good shank rise and good ground clearance that it adds. Now, another feature is going to be, what if you're not planning on going out for a bike ride just yet, but you also don't want to take your bike rack off because this is kind of heavy? What you can do is you can fold it up into the compact position. We have this lever over here, the one you pulled earlier. We'll pull that again, but this time lift up on the rack and fold it up against your vehicle. Let's take some measurements. Measuring from our bumper to the closest point, I guess that's that front wheel mount, we have 1.5 inches of clearance there. Now this is super sturdy, so it's not getting any closer than that. Length now added to the back of our vehicle is from the bumper to the tray, 6 inches. It does stick out further over here at the bottom though, and that's gonna be, I'd like to say 11.5 inches. Big difference still compared to when this bike rack was folded down. You'll definitely want it in this position when you're just planning on driving around town and not taking up too much space. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind you? Well, notice with it folded up like this, our rear window is completely visible, our taillights are completely visible, even our backup camera sits right up over here above the repair stand. It does kind of cover our license plate though, but not that much. And if that's a big deal, notice how easily accessible that lever is. You step on it, bring this down. Another special feature of the Kuat NV, not the base version, is that you have this repair stand that you just lift up and out, and you can repair your bikes while out on the trail or in your garage. Okay, talking about how this fits into our hitch receiver. We have a 2-inch shank, fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. We have a hitch pin and a lock. That lock is key to the locks that we looked at earlier on the end of our trays. So you get one key, or I guess one set of keys, and each key can access the entire system. Now this is a tool-free install, so you just pop it into your hitch and you tighten it down with this knob. That extends a ball cam on the inside of your shank and creates an anti-rattle experience. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to shake our bike rack here just to simulate that road movement and vibration. And look at how easily I'm just moving the vehicle at this point. That's because that connection there is nice and secure and makes for a smoother ride for your bikes overall. So, my personal thoughts about the Kuat NV 2.0 is it's definitely a premium rack. If you want something that checks off those boxes, the ability to add on to up to 4 bikes, you have those integrated locks, you have something that looks really, really good, that's the Kuat NV for you. Also pairs great with our Volkswagen Taos with those colors. Now for other options too, you might need or you might want the Kuat Sherpa instead if you don't need that extra weight capacity and want something more compact. Another similar bike rack is the Rocky Mounts monorail. Has similar weight capacity features, but not the same sleek look. So check out those videos here at Etrailer if you're interested about them. But right here, right now, we took a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 2-bike platform rack on our 2022 Volkswagen Taos.